In the wake of coronavirus and the toll it's taken on the Australian economy, the government is telling us to holiday here this year. It's a nice sentiment, but it's one that Australians are actually embracing all on their own. Large off-road SUVs like this one here are favoured for their jack-of-all-trades abilities. They can carry up to 7 people in comfort, both on and off-road, tow a boat, ferry you on the daily commute, and even make it back in time for the afternoon school run. It's a raft of abilities that cars like the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport here aim to master. But while a lot of the attention is always given to top spec models on the range, we're behind the wheel of a mid-level GLS specification to see whether it's a good option in a hotly contested segment. The Mitsubishi Pajero Sport GLS we have before us is 4x4 equipped and contains 7 seats. This means it costs $54,190 before on-road costs. It's a tier above the entry-level GLX and features equipment such as 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels, auto headlights, rain-sensing wipers, power tailgate, satellite navigation, and dual-zone climate control. Along the side of the car here, you've got side steps to aid entry and exit from the vehicle. You've also got privacy tint rear windows to keep away prying eyes and keyless entry here. Further up the back of the car, you can see this rear spoiler, which comes standard, and an optional tow bar kit, which costs just under $1,400. Consistent across the range is a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, which sends 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Interestingly, what isn't standard is a 4-wheel drive system. The Pajero Sport GLS here can also be had in a 2-wheel drive drivetrain for a lower cost. But for today, we have a Pajero Sport with a Super Select 2 part-time 4-wheel drive system. As for safety tech, the GLS here scores autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, hill start assist and rear parking sensors, but it does miss out on some key tech such as blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, which you'll have to spend extra money for. Inside, it does remind of those 1990s type 4-wheel drives with this soft velour fabric here covering things like the center console and door cards here. That isn't to say it feels old at all. It's just a nice sense of familiarity. It is super nice to the touch, and these seats are super plush, and most surfaces around the vehicle are nice enough for the price. There's a nice amount of space for me here in the front row, though a lack of adjustability means I can't quite get low enough for my tall frame. There's a good amount of storage here with 2 cup holders, a nice little slot here, and there's even a cut-through storage section here for your odds and ends. What does annoy me is the lack of a digital speed readout, which you really should get in this day and age, no matter which end of the market you're shopping in. Embedded within the dash is an 8-inch infotainment system which can run Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in a wired fashion. You will want to use those 2 systems, as this screen here does just look a little bit drab, though it does have things like satellite navigation, and that's about it. In the second row here, behind my own seating position, there's a good amount of legroom and footroom, but headroom is a little constrained. These seats behind me do recline, but they don't slide forward and backwards like they would in some other vehicles in the category. You will note throughout the cabin there isn't that much storage around apart from mat pockets and door bins behind me. There is a center armrest here which folds out a set of cup holders here, and you will note there's an AC power port here and 2 USB ports. Air supply isn't down here where you'd normally expect, it's up on the roof where there are a set of adjustable vents. In the back seat it is a bit of a compromise even if you're not nearly as tall as me. You can see that my knees here are really high on the floor, and this seat is a bit of a scooped shape which feels really weird to sit in. That said, you do get air vents back here and cup holders on this side here, but to get this third row folded fully flat, it is a bit of a mucking around as it does fold in a weird fashion, as you'll see here. But there you go. The boot space of the Pajero Sport is accessed by this power tailgate here. Mind your head though. According to Mitsubishi, there's a full 502 litres up to the seat tops of the rear row, but it does expand to 1,488 litres with all seats down. Under the car is mounted a full-size spare wheel. But that's enough about the interior of the car, let's get out for a drive. As I mentioned, the Pajero Sport has a 2.4 litre turbo diesel engine with 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters of torque. This is down on some key rivals like the Isuzu MU-X and Ford Everest. In practice, the Pajero Sport doesn't have quite the same urgency on kickdown acceleration as those rivals, with a bit more timing needed for certain overtakes as well. To access real shove, you really do need to put your foot into it. The 8-speed transmission is smooth to shift across most situations and speed changes, but it takes just that little bit longer to kick down on sudden accelerations. Ride control is super clean, especially when you're around town. Speed humps are dispatched with a lovely soft ride quality as a big body simply eats up the disruption like it's nothing. When you're further afield like we are at the moment, larger impacts are ironed over without too much fuss, though smaller imperfections are felt to a higher degree. It's not uncomfortable at all, but you do notice the body jiggling about regularly, especially when you're on rural B roads. The steering is quite heavy, and I suppose it's what you expect from such a large car, but it doesn't help it around town. This is a big car to pedal around town. Mitsubishi might want you to think that it's a perfect family hauler for the around town commute and trips to the shopping centre, but you'd really want to be a good driver in small confines for that to be the case. Luckily, visibility is excellent out of the cabin. I've got a nice view over the road here, if a little high, but I can easily look out back behind me thanks to that large glass house which lets you see all throughout the cabin. Now there is a fair amount of body roll to contend with once you start rolling through some of those corners in the country. It doesn't get to the point of feeling unwieldy at all, but it is that trade-off with that nice ride that you do get around town. When the going gets really tough, the Pajero Sport has a switchable four-wheel drive system that can switch between 2 high, 4 high, 4 high with a locked centre differential, and then 4 low with a locked centre differential. In case it does get really quite hardcore, you can engage the rear differential lock on the centre console here, or you do have this drive mode selector here on the centre console. At the moment, our car is using 9.7 litres on the combined fuel cycle that we've been driving, which is about what you'd expect from a large off-road SUV, if maybe a touch high. As an all-round vehicle, the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport here covers a lot of ground. As we've learned, it's spacious inside for you and your family, contains enough key tech to keep you happy, and it also feels built suitably to its price point. With that said, it does miss out on a few key functions. It is a bit agricultural around town, and that heavy steering feel doesn't feel that great when you're on the move. It's also lacking a bit of responsiveness in the drivetrain. Also, it misses out on a few key active safety measures which we've come to expect from large SUVs. It is a good value package, however, especially if you factor in Mitsubishi's 10-year-long warranty if serviced within its dealer network. If you're the type of family that does value outdoor activities, the Pajero Sport is a good car to get you there. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our uploads. If you want to know more about the Pajero Sport behind me, go to drive.com.au.